Art is both method and suggestion. Not every good art piece is intrinsically pleasant to look at. Some redeem the ugliness within us through beauty of craftsmanship within a darker visual impact. The entrance of the grotesque into the realms of fine art explores alternative modes of existence, challenging the presumed canon of classical beauty in favor of freedom of expression, freedom of mark-making. The grotesque as a motif is prominent in the work of masters from all walks of artistic merit: romantics, symbolists, expressionists, surrealists. No matter the art form, it speaks to a deeper part of the human consciousness. Iroguro mangaka Maruo Suehiro investigates the limits of beauty and mischief through aesthetic.
This video is brought to you by Mubi, a curated streaming service showing exceptional films from around the globe. Try Mubi free for 30 days at mubi.com/cinemacartography. That's mubi.com/cinemacartography for a whole month of great cinema for free.
Maruo crafts provocative and violent images. His work dwells in the graphicness of scenarios of extreme visual complexity. They feel at a blade's edge away from intense eroticism, as they express both transgression of flesh and of social norms. Reminiscent of the Musen-e woodcut prints of Oshitoshi Tsukioka, the graphic compositions of Utagawa Yoshiko, and the high-contrast cinematic language of the German Expressionist movement, they feel both extremely calculated and nonsensu. Maruo's visual map is full of tenebrism, granted by his use of dramatic illumination and chiaroscuro influences. The intoxicating power of his compositions is hard to ignore. His work is preoccupied with contemporary existence. The experience of modernity here is an amalgamation of trauma, one of unprecedented disjuncture in shifting boundaries. The collision of both Eastern and Western cultures, the veneer of familiarity and the uncanny. All this is raw material for Maruo's aesthetic sensibility. The grotesque aesthetic here exaggerates form, color, and tension in favor of impact. It deviates from the canonical ideal form to create misshaped, ugly, and sometimes formless mark-making. Maruo achieves grotesque through hyper-realistic image processing, always done with the utmost pristine of clean brushstrokes. The real grotesque in Maruo's work is often found through metaphor. While the imagetic grotesque can shock at first sight, the metaphoric grotesque exists in the in-betweens, in the process, the morphing and transgressions from one thing to another. This is why motif and theme are so important throughout his work. Children often play a central role in several of his works. In his universe, they don't represent purity. Instead, they come to remind us of the true primitive nature within the human condition. They lack morality, but most importantly, they lack the shame imposed by the civilized world of adulthood, a world that Maruo wants to transgress in both artistic process and visual methodology. Central to the grotesque is its lack of uniformity, its unpredictability. While beauty has only one standard, the combinations and possibilities of the grotesque are endless. Maruo plays with pop culture, juxtaposing icons of social prestige with extreme gore. He creates a polarity that reveals tension. Maruo Suehiro's masterpieces carry all the conceptual elements of a good grotesque work. They navigate a space between the beautiful and the horrible. In aesthetic discourse, beauty is characterized by often narrow, closed, and impenetrable standards, with clear and distinct borders. The grotesque, on the other hand, is in constant battle with those imposed limits. Maruo's pieces feel the weight of this battle. They celebrate and despise deviant behavior all at once. His iconographic choices are in constant contradiction. Women and men in his works are beautiful. They are delicate Gothic creatures, exquisitely outlined by his inking techniques. But although angelical in appearance, they carry a stark look in their eyes. They embody the amoral characteristics of our shadow mind. His world is a world of contrasts, black and white, innocence and mischief, civilized and primitive, life and death. Even his nostalgic compositions seem to look at the past with both fascination and disgust. Some of his imagery is adorned with military themes, both in the way he frames the subjects and in the way he composes his scenes. There's a flatness to the compositions that grant the panels a poster-like quality, reminiscence of Japanese imperialistic propaganda, and ironically, classic movie posters. When working with black and white, he deals with value through impeccable hatching, creating extremely intricate scenarios that carry an intense beauty in detail, even when the scene is quite intense in tone. And because he is such a skillful pencilier, his minimal use of shadows allow for a lot of the details to be present in the image without being visually distracting. When using color, his work doesn't lose any of his ghastly qualities. He often refrains himself from overcomplicated color palettes. By sticking to complementary colors, he brings a level of organization to each frame, allowing space for the repetition of motifs and patterns to create the visual interest. There's an organized ornamentation in his work that can be quite deceitful. Ornaments might enhance the composition by adding design depth. They might even make the visual idea more appealing to untrained eyes. But Maruo is not bound by his ornamentation. He is able to navigate both minimalistic and maximalistic arrangements without losing his core visual style. He is not constrained by rules of design and decorum. Instead, he uses those rules as fuel to his subversions. Maruo's world is a world collapsing through decay. There's a fearless freedom in which he approaches taboo thematics through polarization. Boys and girls in uniforms are predators. Shintoism symbols are subverted. Western pop culture invades traditional Japanese spaces. His work embodies through this oscillation the aesthetic sensibility of the tormented world of our shadow self. For Maruo's works function as a grotesque mirror. They expose all the ugliness hidden deep inside, ready to look us back in the eye, ready to ask us who we really are.
We'd like to thank Mubi for sponsoring this video. Mubi is a curated streaming service, an ever-changing collection of handpicked films from new directors to award winners from everywhere on earth. Beautiful, interesting, incredible movies, and always carefully chosen by Mubi curators. You can stream or download all of Mubi's movies anytime, on any screen, any device, anywhere. Right now on Mubi, you can watch Metropolis by Fritz Lang, a film that requires no introduction. This classic of German expressionist cinema dialogues deeply with Maruo's aesthetic sensibility, from its story themes to the tenebrous visual language. Mubi is the perfect gateway to world cinema and the only streaming platform the Cinema Cartography fully recommends. You can try Mubi for free for 30 days at mubi.com/cinemacartography for a whole month of great cinema for free.